7.5. And today is the most auspicious day. It's the Hira Panchami festival, which is a very significant tattva that is revealed, the glories of Vrindavan Dham, where Srivas Pandit is glorifying Dwarka and the moods of Dwarka, the opulences, and Swarup Damodar, in the mood of Lalita Sakhi, counters that and glorifies Vrindavan. And it's very beautiful. So this is in Caitanya Caritamrta 14th chapter, Adi-lila. So this Hira Panchami, and we'll post a lecture about that. But this is very important points, actually, because Mahaprabhu was asked for this enactment, this drama, to be enacted nicely. And Kashish Pandit, he's arranged for everything to be nicely, the actors from the devotees. The devotees are acting out a beautiful pastime. And the servants of Vimala Devi, the goddess of Lakshmi, Lakshmi Devi, has come from Nilachal, and she's come to the Gundicha, and she's demanding her husband come back. Her husband said he would only be gone away for a few days, and now he's been gone 5 days. So she comes with all her maidservants dressed up very gorgeously in gold, etc., and they chastise the guards at the Gundicha. And Srivas Pandit, in a mood of Narada Muni, he starts to proclaim, why does Krishna want to go to Vrindavan? They just have a few flowers there, they have a few cows and milk and some trees, a forest. Why would he want to go there? In my Dwarka or Nilachal, we have so many opulent jewels, etc. And he's glorifying the opulence, the Aishwarya of Dwarka, in a mood of Narada Muni. But then Swarup Damodar, in a mood of Lalita Sakhi, begins to explain that all the flowers in Vrindavan are Chintamani. They can grant any amounts of wealth, and the cows are all Kamandenu, and they can give any amounts of milk, and the trees are all Kalpavriksha, and they can also give whatever one desires. So Srivas Thakur, he's convinced by this, and he takes on his other identity as Madhumangal, and he begins to dance around like Madhumangal is the embodiment of Hasya Ras, like a joker, and he takes on that form. But it's a very, very rich pastime filled with Tattva Siddhanta. So this is explained in the 14th chapter of Adi-lila. So this festival happens today, Hira Panchami. And also it's Vakrashra Pandit's disappearance day today. So we celebrated his appearance day just a few days ago, and he's Aniruddha in the Chatuvyuha. This is his identity, and he's a great, great personality. So we celebrate his personality today, and we'll put some lectures on our WhatsApp thread. So Vakrashra Pandit ki jai, Hira Panchami ki jai, Go Premanande. So now we'll begin our study of Caitanya Caritamrta. Agyan Timirandasya Gyananjala Shalakaya Chakshu Unmilitam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Gurave Gaudachandraya Radhikaya Tidale Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Tara Bhaktaya Namo Namaha. Agyan Timirandasya Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Shtapitam Jena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Tadati Shwapadantikam Priya Sarupe, Daita Sarupe, Prema Sarupe, Sahajavi Rupe, Nijana Rupe, Prabhueka Rupe, Tatana Rupe, Swabalasa Rupe, Anapita Chirim Chirat Kuruna Varatino Kalo, Samarpaitam Unnata Ujvala Rasam Swabhakti Shriyam, Hari Purata Sundara Tutikatam Vasatapita, Sadakradare Kandare Spuratu Vasachinandanaha. Yam pravajantamana petyam apeti krityam dvai paino viraha katara ajuhava Putreti tam matayo taravo binidustam sarvabhutam hridimuni manatoshmi Bhaktya vihina aparada lakshay Shiptascha karmadi tarangamadhi Kripa maitvam sharanam prapana Brinde namaste charana arvindam Bhajami radham aravinda netram Smarami radham madhurashmitasyam Vadami radham karuna baradram Tatvomanasti katina kapi Tavaivasmi najivami tvaivina Iti vignaya radhe tvam charnantikam. I'm first of all offering millions and millions of Dandavat pranams unto the lotus feet of my most beloved Gurudev, Adi-lila Pravishta Om Asto Tadasarashi Shimad Srila Bhaktivedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj. And again, I'm offering millions and millions of Dandavat pranams unto the lotus feet of our dearmost Adi-lila Pravishta Om Asto Tadasarashi Shimad Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. And again, I'm offering my prostrated Dandavat pranams unto our dearmost Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, and to all our Rupanuga Guru Varg, and to all the Vaishnava and Vaishnavi devotees of the Lord, my Dandavat pranams to all of you. Vanchakalpa Turubhyascha, Kripa Sindhavevacha, Patitanam Pavanibhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namaha. So yesterday we encapsulated the previous 6 chapters, and now we're coming into this 7th chapter, which is entitled Mahaprabhu in 5 features. 5 features of Mahaprabhu in the one personality. He's manifesting 5 aspects of his nature. They are all manifesting together to create a complete whole mood. So this is a very profound subject matter, and it's very wonderfully described in this chapter by Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj and opened out by Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. So we've come to text 5. Jaya Jaya Shri Caitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Pancha Tattva Eka Vastu Nahi Kichu Bed Rasa Asvidate Tabu Vida Vibed. Spiritually, there is no difference between these 5 tattvas, for on the transcendental platform, everything is absolute. Yet there are also varieties in the spiritual world, and in order to taste these spiritual varieties, one should distinguish between them. So it's saying that in one sense they're one, and in another sense there's varieties between them. So this is like to understand the speciality or the Vaishishtya of these personalities, and we can see it also in the light of Achintya, Beda, Abeda Tattva. They are one, and yet they're simultaneously different. There's a distinction between them. So it's very important to catch this appreciation of their absolute nature initially, and then we will go into the varieties or the Bed, the differences in them. So we have to listen carefully. So purport. In his Anubhasya commentary, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur describes the Panchatattva as follows. The supreme energetic, the personality of Godhead. The energetic is that power that is coming from the source. The energy comes from the energetic. The energetic comes first. It's filled with energy. Then the energy is second. Like the fire is the energetic and the Shakti is the energy. The supreme energetic, the personality of Godhead, manifesting in order to enjoy 5 kinds of pastimes, appears as the members of the Panchatattva. Actually, there is no difference between them because they are situated on the absolute platform, but they manifest different spiritual varieties as a challenge to the impersonalists to taste different kinds of spiritual humors. The impersonalists, they have no variety. It's like Shantaras. There's no waves on the rasa ocean. It's all like one for the impersonalists. So Krishna manifesting in 5 different forms initially immediately will challenge the impersonalist, because there's 5 aspects of the one. The impersonalists believe it's all one, just worshipping the Lord in a mood of Aishwarya. But by manifesting in 5, he's showing immediately variety, variegatedness. So therefore, it purifies the impersonal oneness conception. The impersonal conception is like Advaitavad, that oneness. But having 5 forms, then it's immediately purifying this impersonal conception. So he says, manifest different spiritual varieties as a challenge to the impersonalists to taste different kinds of spiritual humors, rasas. Mahaprabhu, Krishna himself, is going to taste all the rasas. Krishna himself embodies 12 rasas. So his associates that he's manifesting with are going to exemplify those different rasas to different degrees. It'll be described. In the Vedas, it is said, Parasya Shaktir Vivadivar Suryate. Glasses on here. Vividaiva Suryate. The varieties of energy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead are differently known. From this statement of the Vedas, one can understand that there are eternal varieties of humors or tastes in the spiritual world. Sri Gauranga, Sri Nityananda, Sri Advaita, Sri Gadadhar, and Srivas Thakur are all on the same platform. But in spiritually distinguishing between them, one should understand that that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is the form of a devotee. This is the amazing aspect of this topic, that Mahaprabhu has come as his own devotee, even though he's Krishna, but he's come as his devotee. Nityananda Prabhu appears in the form of a devotee's spiritual master. Nityananda Prabhu, we've said many times, is we call Akhanda Guru Mula Tattva. Why is he the spiritual master? Because he's performing so much seva to his supreme master, Krishna, Brajendranandan, Shyam Sundar, the original personality. And because of that seva, then he is the spiritual master for all the worlds, undivided, Akhanda, Guru Mula Tattva. How is he serving? He's serving through the manifestation of Sankarshan, through Mul Sankarshan, Maha Sankarshan, through the Chatu Shloki, Chatu Vyuha, the Chatu Vyuha in Dwarka, Mathura, Krishna Loka, and the Narayan Purush expansions, Mahavishnu, Garbhadaksha, Vishnu, Shiradaksha. He's expanding all of this, all the Brahmans. He's the Sandini Shakti of existence. This is Nityananda, so this amazing, so he's the spiritual master of all the worlds, including Mahaprabhu is going to accept like this, a mood of that. Even though internally, Nityananda is fully submissive to Mahaprabhu only. He's catching him when he falls in the kirtans. He's always rendering service to Mahaprabhu. But simultaneously, Mahaprabhu will treat him like his brother, his elder brother, just like he did in Krishna Lila with Balaram. Nityananda Prabhu appears in the form of a devotee's spiritual master. Advaita Prabhu is the form of a bhakta, devotee incarnation. He's the incarnation of a bhakta. Mahavishnu directly himself, and Sada Shiva. We've already been through this chapter 6. So this is describing the nature of this incarnation. He's not actually on the same level as Nityananda Prabhu, certainly not Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, but still he's Vishnu Tattva. This has to be clearly understood. Gadadhar Prabhu is the energy of a bhakta, Swarup Shakti, and Srivas Thakur is a pure devotee, Tatastha Shakti. Thus, there are spiritual distinctions between them, and yet they're absolute. How do you get your head around that? You have to think. You have to deeply appreciate. It's this Achintya Beda Abeda Tattva. It'll be explained. The Bhakta Roop, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Mahaprabhu is the Bhakta Roop. He's the form of bhakti, devotion, Krishna himself. And Bhakta Swarup, Sri Nityananda, and the Bhakta Avatar, Sri Advaita Prabhu, are described as the Supreme Personality of Godhead himself, his immediate manifestation and his plenary expansion. And they all belong to the Vishnu category. They're all Vishnu Tattva. Very clear. It's not difficult to understand. We just have to hear patiently and appreciate. Without this logical explanation, the rest of the Caitanya Caritamrta won't be so easily understood. When we realize these truths in the beginning, then it's like the foundation for what's about to come. Because Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj is going to speak about very esoteric subject matters, and we have to be grounded fully in the Siddhanta and Tattvas. So this is what we're going through now in this whole chapter. This is Tattva and Siddhanta. Although the spiritual and marginal energies of the Supreme Personality of Godhead are non-different from the Supreme Personality of Godhead Vishnu, they are predominated subjects, whereas Lord Vishnu is the predominator. Krishna is the supreme predominator, and his parts are being predominated. They're all manifesting from Krishna. That's all. As such, although they are on the same platform, they have appeared differently in order to facilitate tasting of transcendental mellows. Actually, every sentence here can be really opened out and opened out and opened out. And when we're hearing this now for the first time, oh, this has run out. Oh, it doesn't last very long. Phew, I just charged it. Okay. They're on the same platform. It's the same mood. We understand Achintya Beda Abeda Tattva, simultaneously one and different. The Jiva is simultaneously one and different to Krishna. We both have the particle of Satchit Ananda within us. We both have that spiritual essence. But the Jiva is Anuchit, very, very small. And Krishna is Vibhuchit, he's the complete. So we understand like that. As such, although they are on the same platform, they have appeared differently in order to facilitate tasting of transcendental mellows. This is the principle, is relationship. The principle rasas, exchanged. This is actually the dynamic of love of God, are these different relationships. This is what the whole Raganuga path is about. Understanding these different relationships with different aspects and forms of the Lord. Actually, however, there is no possibility of one being different from the other, in the sense that they all are completely on that platform of server and the predominator and predominated. They're all absolute, ultimately. Being different from the other. For the worshipper and the worshipable cannot be separated at any stage. What does that remind you of? It's like the, we can say the heat coming from the fire is the same. Fire and the heat is the same in one sense. And musk and its scent, smell are the same. They can't be separated. You can't have musk and have no scent. You can't have Krishna and have no energy. So there's Krishna as Mahaprabhu, although he's taking the form of a devotee. And then you're having his energies who are Swarup, Bhakta Swarup and Bhakta Avatar. They're Vishnu Tattvas, but still they're coming from the fire, so to speak. They cannot be separated. If we apply our intelligence and brain to these at the highest degree of our consciousnesses, we'll find everything else becomes very simple after that. It's like you have to exercise the muscles of the brain just to comprehend these topics initially. And then afterwards, everything becomes very simple because you've actually performed the yajna. You perform the seriousness of trying to appreciate these truths. On the absolute platform, one cannot be understood without the other. You can't just have the heat, the fire without the heat. You have to have them both together. They are both together, although they're different. There is the fire and there is the heat. We can separate them. One is the energetic, the fire, and one is the energy, the Swarup, Shakti. So we have like that. So it's going to unpack these 5 features of Mahaprabhu, what they all represent and how they represent the whole. This is Mahaprabhu's mission. This is such a powerful chapter. This is why I have it in a single book. So, okay. Text 6. Panchatattvatmakam Krishnam Bhaktarupa Swarupakam Bhaktavataram Bhaktatyam Nam Nishbhakti Shaktikam. Let me offer my obeisances unto Lord Sri Krishna, who has manifested himself in 5 as a devotee, expansion of a devotee, incarnation of a devotee, pure devotee, and devotional energy. It's quite simple. Purport. Sri Nityananda Prabhu is the immediate expansion of Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu as his brother, just like he was in Krishna Lila as Balaram. He is the personified spiritual bliss of Satchit Ananda Vigraha. Nitya Ananda. Ananda means bliss, fully, eternally blissful. Why is he so blissful? Because he's engaging in so much seva, never for a single moment. Even he comes down to the very bottom of this universe as Anantashesh, and he's holding all the planets on his hoods. He's constantly in that bliss of seva. We discussed at the end of the 6th chapter. Half that 6th chapter was about devotional service. It was so ecstatic to appreciate. This is the link, the thread I described, the rahasya, the secret. This is how Bhagavatam describes it. This is our link to connect with Krishna through this devotional mood, this devotional sentiment. Everything depends on this. The degree of our devotion will indicate the degree of our progress and development. And daily, this devotion, once we catch that current, it's the sweetest taste. We will just keep on performing more and more devotional activities because we will appreciate the reciprocal taste that it actually gives, the joy, the bliss. What to speak of Nityananda? Nityananda, we know he's like intoxicated in bliss all the time. He comes in front of Mahaprabhu completely naked. He's not even aware of this material world. And Mahaprabhu tries to pacify him, to bring him into this material world in a sense. But Nityananda Prabhu is so intoxicated by his immense seva, the bliss, Nityananda, that eternal bliss. And we also have that same potential within us. If we are performing our devotional seva to the object of our seva, Sri Guru, and our Guru Varga, because that's where we can see Guru, we can see our Guru Varga. We can take shelter of all the Goswamis, etc. We can read their granthas, we can connect with them directly. And just by that connecting with their granthas, that's performing the greatest seva. Rupa Goswami is so satisfied when you read his Vidagdha Madhav or Lalita Madhav or Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. Sanatan Goswami is so satisfied when you're reading his Brihat Bhagavatamrita or his Hari Bhakti Vilas. So many of these granthas are there. Srila Krishna's Kaviraj is satisfied. We will get his mercy. by trying to understand their words. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada is very happy we're reading his purports. My Gurudev is very happy that we're listening attentively. This is how you please Guru. His body is transcendental and full of ecstasy and devotional service. This is Nityananda. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is therefore called Bhakta Roop, the form of a devotee. And Sri Nityananda Prabhu is called Bhakta Swarup, the expansion of a devotee. Sri Advaita Prabhu, the incarnation of a devotee. And they're all Vishnu Tattva and belong to the same category. These three are Vishnu Tattva. There are also different types of bhaktas or devotees on the platforms of neutrality, servitorship, friendship, parenthood, and conjugal love. Devotees like Sri Damodar, Sri Gadadhar, and Sri Ramananda are different energies. It's saying specifically energies. Why energies? Because they're all Shakti. Swarup Damodar is Lalita Sakhi. Ramananda Rai is Vishaka Sakhi. Gadadhar is directly Shri Radhika. So they're Sakhis, they're Shaktis, Shakti Tattva. Understand immediately the distinction. We have to get to know these personalities. Who is Swarup Damodar? He's there all the time with Mahaprabhu. We're trying to get to know Mahaprabhu so we can serve. If we want to serve the Yuga Avatar Mahaprabhu, we have to get to know him. Who is he? What his part? This is what this Caitanya Caritamrta is opening up and revealing. So all his parikas are very essential parts, supports for his pastimes. So we have to become very familiar with these personalities. This confirms the Vedic sutra Parasya Shaktiya Vivadaiva Suryate. All these bhakta subjects taken together constitute Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who is Krishna himself. What a beautiful sentence. All these topics, they all constitute Mahaprabhu himself. That is Mahaprabhu, all these 5 subject matters, because this is the title of the chapter, Chaitanya in 5 features. Text 7. Swayam Bhagavan Krishna Ekala Ishvara Advitya Nandatmaja Rasika Shekara. Krishna, the reservoir of all pleasure, is the Supreme Personality of Godhead himself, the Supreme Controller. No one is greater than or equal to Sri Krishna, yet he appears as the son of Nanda Maharaj. So this is also a phenomenon. It's described, this beautiful verse, Karmani anihasya bhavo bhavasyate durgashraya tari bhayat talayanam kalat mano yat pramodeshwar yuteshram swatman rate kidyate dir vidam iha. That Krishna, he works and he doesn't work. Karmani anihasya. He's born, bhavo bhavasyate, and he's not born. It's completely contradictory. He's fear personified. Fear runs away from him. And yet he himself, out of fear, goes and builds a fortress in the ocean at Dwarka to escape his enemies. And he's the most renounced. He's fully aptakam and aptaram. Aptakam, fully renounced. Wow, Haribol. Fully renounced. And so all of this is contradictory. He's all of these things. And it's saying here in a similar way that Krishna is that supreme controller, and yet he appears as the son of Maharaj Nanda. And he can even be bound by Mother Yashoda as a child. So see how it's what he's saying here. These contradictions, apparent contradictions. Purport. In this verse, Kaviraj Goswami gives an accurate description of Lord Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, by stating that although no one is equal to or greater than him, he is the reservoir of all spiritual pleasure, and nevertheless he appears as the son of Maharaj Nanda and Yashodamai. So how complete is this personality of Godhead? He's everything. He's completely all-encompassing everything. So this is very So Krishna's Kaviraj is elaborating on Swayam Bhagavan, who is Krishna, that all-encompassing personality. So we have to grow out and see the immensity of the Supreme. Text 8. Rasadiv... Oh. Rasadivilasa Varjalana Nagara Arayata Shabadeka Tanra Parika. Lord Sri Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is the supreme enjoyer in the rasa dance. He is the leader of the damsels of Braj, and all others are simply his associates. So ultimately, Krishna is the only leader of the rasa lila. Now there's a nice purport here. The word rasadi vilasi, the enjoyer of the rasa dance, is very important. The rasa dance can be enjoyed only by Sri Krishna. Only Krishna can enjoy this, because he is the supreme leader and chief of the damsels of Vrindavan. All others are his devotees and associates. We're talking in connection with Mahaprabhu and the Panchatattva. It's describing Chaitanya Mahaprabhu as Krishna, as the supreme predominator, and the others are being predominated. Understand the tattva. All others are his devotees and associates. Although no one can compare with Sri Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, there are many unscrupulous rascals who imitate the rasa dance of Sri Krishna. Even in their minds, they might try to imitate that rasa lila. How can I be that supreme enjoyer? And, you know, India is full of people who are wanting to enjoy separately from serving the ecstatic pastime of the Supreme. The pleasure and bliss of service is trillions of times greater ever than the pleasure of being that illusioned consciousness of trying to get the pleasure themselves. As long as we try to get the pleasure for anything ourselves, I've explained before, that's actually a mayavad. We're trying to get pleasure from the illusion. It's a mayavad. And we're all prone to this. Sometimes we come out of it and sometimes we go into it. As soon as we sit down for a meal, our whole sense is, oh, I'm going to enjoy, rather than I'm going to honor this Mahaprasad. We have to train ourselves. It's not a lightweight thing, this devotional path, actually, because ultimately at the very end, we described yesterday about the subtle body. The subtle body contains all the material desires. If you have a single material desire, when you leave your body, that material desire in the subtle will have to be fulfilled. So if your subtle body hasn't become incinerated because you've got no more desires, then of course you have to take birth again. Krishna is so kind, he'll give you another body to fulfill that subtle desire you had. So we have this bij, I said ankuta yesterday, remember? I was saying, when you leave your body, if the subtle body is no longer got any material desires in it, then very easily we will leave this material world, because there's nothing, no other purpose in the material world. Although no one can compare to Sri Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, why does Prabhupada keep on repeating the Supreme Personality of Godhead? Why does he keep saying it again and again and again? Yes, I can remember when I first was reading Prabhupada's books, I was thinking, why does he keep saying this all the time? Again and again and again, hammering it, hammering it, hammering it, hammering it. Because I'm so dense that I don't really accept it, that he is that Supreme Personality of Godhead. Prabhupada is genius, and he knows who his audiences are. They're complete mayavad people associating with the material energy. Even if you've been born in Bharatvash, you still want to get some material energy if you're not completely versed in devotional conceptions. So the Supreme Personality of Godhead is wonderful to hear it repeated again and again. It reinforces our insignificant position as the servant of that. And this service is the greatest wealth and joy. We just explained it. It's the rahasya, it's the secret, it's the golden link to emancipation from this material world, to freedom from this material world. It's not actually freedom from the material world, it's the joy of entering the spiritual domain. They are Mayavadis, and people should be wary of them. So there are big Mayavadis and there are little Mayavadis. You know, some are just having it in their minds, but some actually are, you know, enacting it. These trying to enjoy the illusion. The rasa dance can be performed only by Sri Krishna and no one else. So when we read about the Ras Lila and the rasa dance, it is so ecstatic. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says 300 billion gopis gathered. And the prelude to the Ras Lila is so sweet. When Krishna calls the gopis out of their homes, and we see the extent of their Sharanagat initially, they're giving up everything, they're giving up their whole family, they're giving up their reputation. For a young girl in Vrindavan, the reputation is probably her most cherished attachment. Who am I in the eyes of my elders? It's the dharmic sanskar or nature. We don't want to transgress dharma, yet the gopis, they have transgressed dharma. Young girls, 14, some 15, some 13. And they didn't do it alone. I've said it many, many times. If you do in a big group, you might get some group support, but it wasn't like that. They heard the sound, they all individually heard Krishna calling their names, just like Krishna calls the names of all the cows through his flute. He called the name of every single gopi on his flute. They all heard, oh, Krishna's calling me personally. It's only a personal exchange. And they ran individually, alone, without even putting on their dresses properly, etc. In the urgency to satisfy Krishna. He was calling them, come quickly, I need you to be here to satisfy me. An opportunity for service. Their lives are made of service, nothing else. Why? Because they're all manifesting from this Radha Kaya Vyuha. What is Radha's mood made of? Nothing except service to Krishna. So all of her manifestations have that same thread of service to Krishna. They only want to please and satisfy his calm. So they all run alone. They've given up everything. And what does Krishna do when they get there? This Pranaya Gita, at the beginning of chapter 21 and 29, he tells them to go home. It's heart-rending. That chapter, that beginning of that chapter. So this is just this is the warm-up, so to speak, of the Rasa Lila. When Krishna tells them all to go home. And they refuse, they become very stubborn. They feel like they would be eating vomit if they went back to their family life. Vantasi it's called. It's like if a sannyasi falls down, it's described as he becomes a vantasi. He eats again the vomit of this material world. So the gopis are like that. They feel like that. And Krishna has told them, and in 10 verses, the Pranaya Gita is only in 10 verses, they defeat Krishna. Brilliant. Krishna wants to see their strength of their devotion to him. So he puts them through this, what you can say, trial by, like a fire, ordeal. What's the expression of it? Trial by ordeal, you know, going through the test of fire, like gold. If you want to see pure gold, you have to put it in the furnace, and then it has to be hammered, and all the impurities come out. So Krishna wanted to see like that. And all this is revealed to us, conditioned souls. It's only revealed to us through the mercy of Mahaprabhu. It was never revealed previously. We always have to be conscious of that. I'm saying it repeatedly. Don't think these truths have been around for thousands and millions of years. No, 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 they haven't. They've been around for about 500 or 600 years. They're not, it's okay. No. It was never there on the market previously, and it's never been so fully on the market as this very moment in time now. At this point in time, we can go anywhere online and read Rupa Goswami, read Jiva Goswami, read it. Previously, Bhaktivinoda Thakur couldn't even find a book, the Caitanya Caritamrta, until he was about 25 or 26 years old. He was searching everywhere for the Caitanya Caritamrta, couldn't find it. but we just have it. So all these subject matters of the gopis' prem, because this is what Mahaprabhu has come to give. And this is talking about the rasa dance can only be performed by Krishna himself. No one else can do like that. But there are such rascals in the world who will imitate these pastimes. So text 9. Shri Krishna Avatar Trine Shri Krishna Chaitanya Shri Parikara Gana Sange Sabadanya. The self-same Lord Krishna advented himself as Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu. Yes, the self-same Krishna who performed that Ras Lila. He's the same Caitanya Mahaprabhu. This was established in the 2nd chapter of this Caitanya Caritamrta. Absolutely. Who is Swayam Bhagavan? It's Caitanya Mahaprabhu. We described yesterday the stepping stones of all these chapters in this Adi-lila, how they're so amazingly logical and rational unfoldment by Srila Krishna's Kaviraj. And I commented yesterday, it's Madan Mohan who is giving us this opportunity. We just have to be attentive and regularly hear these teachings. Text 10. Oh, I didn't finish that. Mahaprabhu and all his eternal associates. I'll read it again. The self-same Lord Krishna advented himself as Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu with all his eternal associates who are also equally glorious. This chapter is about his glorious associates, Nityananda, Advaita, Gadadhar, and Srivas Thakur. Text 10. Ekale Ishvara Tattva Chaitanya Ishvara Bhakta Bhava Maya Tanra Shuddha Kalevara. Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu, who is the Supreme Controller, the one personality of Godhead, has ecstatically become a devotee, yet his body is transcendental and not materially tinged. Mahaprabhu, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, has become his own devotee. I mean, when we really consider this, it's staggering. No one except someone who chants Hare Krishna can even get their head around this, that the Supreme Lord of all creation, who creates planets, destroys them, and creates them again in a moment, that same person has become his own devotee. How amazing. He wants to taste that devotional substance, that devotional thread we've been talking about. He wants to taste it himself. It's so delightful, it's so it's so ecstatic taste. And he can only do it by taking the mood of his greatest devotee, Sri Radhika. Yet his body is transcendental and not materially tinged, so we should never become confused. Like many people here in Bharatbash are confused about Mahaprabhu. They think, oh, he was a great philosopher. I was saying yesterday, his glories are not sufficiently on the map. Most people don't know about Caitanya Mahaprabhu. It's a very challenging topic in a sense, because if you go in there, all of your material aspirations, reputation, etc., are going to be just washed away. There's going to be nothing left for you, this material you. So if we're excited for that, yes, let it go. Let it go. I had enough. Let it go. Then we're okay. You have to be quite courageous to go in there, to drop everything. Purport: there are different tattvas or truths, including Isha tattva, Jiva tattva, and Shakti tattva. Isha, Ishvara, means the controller, God, Krishna. Isha tattva refers to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Vishnu, who is the supreme living force. In the Katha Upanishad is said, Nityo Nityanam Chaitanas Chaitananam. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is the supreme eternal and the supreme living force. This is something to celebrate and to be joyful about. But our conditioned nature is to immediately want to imitate or be envy of, because that person is getting a higher taste than me. This is why we commit offense and fall into this material illusion, because actually we're envious of Krishna. The living entities are also eternal and also living forces. Yes, we are also. This is the Achinta Bheda Abheda Tattva that we've discussed already. but they are very minute in quantity, in quality rather. In quantity. It's saying quantity here, but it should be quality. But they are very minute in, it should be quality, it's a mistake. There are a number of mistakes in this Caitanya. It should be quality, not quantity. Whereas the Supreme Lord is the supreme living entity and the supreme eternal. The distinction is difference. The same qualities, this is the Achinta Beta Beta, but the quantity is enormously different. And we've given the example many times, like a spoonful of water from the ocean has the same quality as the huge ocean, but the difference in quantity is just enormous. So, okay, we can accept this, but they are very minute in quantity. Okay. But generally we hear it as quality, but we're saying quantity. Whereas the Supreme Lord is the supreme living force and supreme eternal. The supreme eternal never accepts a body of a temporary material nature, whereas the living entities who are part and parcel of the supreme eternal are prone to do so. We do that because we want to enjoy matter. We can't enjoy matter without a matter body, without a material body. To enjoy matter, you have to have a material body. But spirit can never enjoy matter. We've said many times. Thus, according to the Vedic mantras, the Supreme Lord is the Supreme Master of innumerable living entities. This is establishing the predominator, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Krishna. The Mayavadi philosophers, however, try to equate the minute living entities with the supreme living entity by trying to be the supreme enjoyers. That's why they equate, because they recognize no distinctions between them. Their philosophy is called Advaitavad or monism. Factually, however, there is a distinction. This verse is especially meant to impart to the Mayavadi philosopher the understanding that the Supreme Personality of Godhead is the Supreme Controller. The Supreme Controller, the Personality of Godhead, is Krishna himself, but as a transcendental pastime, he has accepted the form of a devotee, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. We shouldn't confuse Mahaprabhu's manifestation as a devotee to being a materially conditioned soul. This is like most of Bharat Varsha are doing. They're thinking he was a great philosopher, born in Bengal, he created a movement, etc., etc. They don't know that he's God himself. They have no, because he wasn't in that mood of Godhead. So ignorant people don't appreciate the real nature of Krishna. As stated in Bhagavad Gita, when the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, comes to this planet exactly like a human being, some rascals consider him to be one of the ordinary humans because they're uneducated. A rascal is someone who hasn't taken the trouble to read the manual for the body, so to speak. We've been given a body and there's a manual to, if you get any sort of device, it comes with a manual, right? If you don't bother to read the manual, then you won't understand the nature and workings of the body. You won't understand. The manual is the scripture. If you don't take the time and trouble. He has accepted the form of a devotee, Lord Chaitanya. Oh, I read that. One who thinks in that mistaken way is described as mudha, or foolish. Therefore, one should not foolishly consider Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to be an ordinary human being. He has accepted the ecstasy of a devotee, but he is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. For us in the West, it was very much simple, actually, because we heard both Krishna and Mahaprabhu simultaneously, practically. Most of us would have heard about Krishna first and Mahaprabhu simultaneously. Whereas if you're born in South India, for example, you will just hear about Krishna most of your life. And maybe at some point, you'll entertain the idea that actually Mahaprabhu is that supreme, and it's very hard to understand once you've got a very strong impression in your mind that Lord Narayan is that supreme person. How can I accept this person as Lord Narayan also? Therefore, these explanations have to be given very deeply. Therefore, one should not foolishly consider Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to be an ordinary human being. He's accepted the ecstasy of a devotee. What is the ecstasy of the devotee? Is the service, the seva. Only devotee. Devotee means devoted. Devoted to an object, right? Devoted to the service of the object, devotional service. So that's the ecstasy. Where was that? Therefore, one should not foolishly the order. The ecstasy of a devotee, but he is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Since the time of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, there have been many imitation incarnations of Krishna who cannot understand that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is Krishna himself and not an ordinary human being. Less intelligent men create their own gods by advertising a human being as God. This is their mistake. Therefore, hear the words, Tanra Shuddha Kalivara, warn that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's body is not material but purely spiritual. One should not therefore accept Chaitanya Mahaprabhu as an ordinary devotee, although he has assumed the form of a devotee. But we don't put a peacock feather on him to proclaim that, because we love him and we know he wants to perform his pastimes, so we don't honor him externally as a devotee. Mahaprabhu would always close his ears if someone started to say that you are the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He would not like to hear that at all, not at all, because he has come to taste the mood of a devotee. So if we're supporting Mahaprabhu properly, then we also want to facilitate his mood to taste what he wants to taste, which is that bhav of Sri Radhika. So by putting a peacock feather on him, you're proclaiming that he's God. But perhaps for the misinformed people, it may help, because I know the story in Mayapur, Prabhupada actually gave Jananivas a peacock feather with a brooch and said you can put this on the forehead of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu every day. So I want to make that clear that Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada was so broad and so great that he was prepared to allow the general people in Bengal to consider Krishna as God, just to help them understand the real tattva, knowing that later on, if they became serious, they would understand that this is not externally correct. But certainly in different temples where there are serious students of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, we should never think to put a peacock feather on his head. But there is that one exception. That's an exception. We shouldn't take it as, now we're all allowed to do like that. No. Srila Gaura Govinda Maharaj would weep when he saw the peacock feathers on Mahaprabhu. Literally weep. Why are you trying to make my master look like the Supreme Personality of Godhead externally? He's a devotee. Let him maintain that identity as a devotee. Don't push this identity of being God on him. That's not going to inspire him. It's not going to inspire your heart. How can we explain these things to people? But these are subtle topics. They have to be thought about and appreciated. Therefore, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's body is not material but purely spiritual. One should not therefore accept Chaitanya Mahaprabhu as an ordinary devotee, although he has assumed the form of a devotee. He's acting as a devotee, but we don't accept him as a devotee. We know he's the Supreme Lord, but externally, we facilitate that from the deity. You understand what I'm saying? Is it very clear? I'm just repeating it again and again, the same thing. Yet one must certainly know that although Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, because he accepted the ecstasy of a devotee, one should not misunderstand his pastimes and place him in exactly the same position as Krishna. In other words, one should not put a peacock feather on his head. Isn't it? What I'm saying? It is for this reason only that when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was addressed as Krishna or Vishnu, he blocked his ears, not wanting to hear himself addressed as the Supreme Personality of God. What happened when Mahaprabhu goes to Braj? He goes to Braj. He only stays for about 10 days. He goes to Akruragat, and he meets that Synodium Brahmana in Mathura, takes him to all the different forests. And what's happening to Mahaprabhu's heart? A mood of Shamras is coming very strongly in his heart, because he is Sham Sundar. And he's out there in the forest of Vrindavan, he's seeing the cows, he's seeing the Jamuna, and the whole consciousness of I am Sham Sundar is coming back. That's not the purpose of his advent. So therefore he leaves very quickly. He just stays for 10 days, visits all the forests, etc., and then quickly comes back to Bengal. So understand all these topics about Mahaprabhu, and then we can make this connection with Mahaprabhu is our Yuga avatar. We have to make this connection. This chapter is all about Mahaprabhu and his 5 features. There is a class of did I read all that? Yes. There is a class of devotees called Gauranga Nagari, who stage plays of Krishna's pastimes using a vigraha or form of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. This is a mistake that is technically called rasabas. These Gauranga Nagaris are, Nagari means the heroine. They're considering that Mahaprabhu is that hero and Gadadhar is the heroine, and that they have some type of conjugal relationship with each other. This is most unfortunate, and it's as far away from the truth as you can actually get. Mahaprabhu has not come as a Nagari. He's not come as a hero or the heroine. He's come specifically as a devotee in the mood of Radhika, who is the Nagari, but to taste the hero, Krishna, in Ashray. It's all so simple, but we have to go deep into it to fully make the foundation very strong. So there's no overlapping at any time. I know when I walk around here, many times I see Nityananda and Mahaprabhu on the altars together, and Radha and Krishna in the middle. This is completely rasabas. There's 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 temples the same. They haven't understood the nature of Nityananda's mood. He's never with Radha and Krishna in a conjugal extent. We just see, like in the Kunjabihari Mandir, this Gaudiya Mat, you have Mahaprabhu, then you have Krishna and Radha. That is correct. But then in so many others, it's not correct. You have the 2. And it's not Gadadhar. Gadadhar is not there also with Mahaprabhu in the Kunj with Radha and Krishna, just like he's not in the Gambhira. Do you ever hear that Gadadhar Pandit is in the Gambhira with Lalita Saki and Ramananda Rai? Never. He cannot be there. Otherwise Mahaprabhu can't. We have to give, if we're performing devotional service, then what's the nature? It's to love Krishna, to love Mahaprabhu. And what does he want to do? He wants to taste the mood that Radhika experienced from tasting Krishna. So we have to give space for that in our devotion itself. We have to know that, accept that. Rasabas. While Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is trying to enjoy as a devotee, one should not disturb him by addressing him as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Don't put a peacock feather on his head. Okay. Text 11. Krishna Madhurera Eka Adbhuta Svabhava Apana Asvadite Krishna Kare Bhakta Bhava. The transcendental mellow of conjugal love of Krishna is so wonderful that Krishna himself accepts the form of a devotee to relish and taste it fully. That is such a beautiful verse. I'll read it again. The transcendental mellow of conjugal love of Krishna is so wonderful that Krishna himself accepts the form of a devotee to relish and taste it fully. So this mellow of conjugal love, he's talking about Madanakya Mahabhav. He's talking about Mohanakya Mahabhav. This is what he's talking about. These highest stages of ecstasy. Purport. Although Krishna is the reservoir of all pleasure, he has a special intention to taste himself by accepting the form of a devotee. It is to be concluded that although Lord Chaitanya is present in the form of a devotee, he is Krishna himself. Prabhupada has to say it again and again and again. We have to hear it again and again. It's very hard, because I was sharing with you yesterday how I had to make personally this transition. I'd read the Bhagavad Gita and suddenly I was presented with a Caitanya Caritamrta. I couldn't understand. It was saying that Krishna was, Chaitanya was the Supreme Personality of Godhead, but I just read that he's Krishna on the battlefield of Kurukshetra. How am I supposed to make that reconciliation? So many devotees initially are like that. They can't make the switch to Mahaprabhu being fully Krishna, but in the mood of a devotee. Although Krishna is the reservoir of all pleasure, he has a special intention to taste himself by accepting the form of a devotee. It is to be concluded that although Lord Chaitanya is present in the form of a devotee, he is Krishna himself. We understand that this has never manifested before on the planet in the day of Lord Brahma. Never before have these conceptions manifested. We've always had the Aishwarya form of the Lord. Previously in Satya Yuga, Treta Yuga, Dwapara Yuga, there was only the Lord, and we look historically back through the first Manvantara, second Manvantara, etc. They all are just worshipping that Supreme Lord. No one is worshipping the Lord as being his own devotee. It's only at this very point in time that this conception is manifested. So it's not like in a previous birth we've experienced that, oh, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is the servant of Krishna himself. We have no sanskar of that. So this is all fresh for all of us ultimately. Therefore, Vaishnavas sing Sri Krishna Chaitanya, Radha Krishna Nahi Anya. Radha and Krishna combined together are Sri Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And as Swarup Damodar Goswami has said, Caitanya Caritamrta Prakatam Aduna Tadvayam Chaikyam Aptam. Radha and Krishna assumed oneness in the form of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Radha Krishna Pranaya Vikritya Hladini Shakti Asmad Ekatmanav Apibhuvi Deha Vedam Katoto Chaitanya Ikam Prakatam Aduna Tatvayam Chaikyam Radha Bhav Dudi Suvalitam Nomi Sa Krishna Sarupam. So this is Swarup Damodar has given this conclusion. That is Lalita Sakhi. Most of these most powerful conclusions are coming from Swarup Damodar himself. So I'll leave that for today, because now we're going to go to Nityananda. So this was principally today about Chaitanya Mahaprabhu being the Supreme Personality of Godhead. We're going slowly. We're going actually very slowly, but it's very thick and very sweet and very dense and very juicy. It's packed, it's full, it's relishable. So we can't gloss it. I don't want to gloss it. Why should I gloss it? I have only the rest of my life to read this. There's nothing else to do except this. So Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu ki jai, in 5 features ki jai, chapter 7 ki jai. Go Premanandi, Hari Hari Bol. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Oh Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Oh Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Oh Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Gaura Hari Bol. Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Gaura Hari Bol. Go Premanandi, Hari Hari Bol. Srila Gurudev ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami ki jai, Arupa Nuga Guru Varga ki jai. Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha, Kripa Sindhavevacha, Patitanam Pavanebhyo, Vaishnavebhyo, Namo Namaha. Vakrashra Pandit ki jai, Hira Panchami ki jai, Go Premanandi, Hari Hari Bol.